Hey, Tim DeStasio here, Psychrometric Saturday once again, and we're going to talk about diagnosing condensation problems in the home using Dewpoint. That's why I want you to really get your head wrapped around using Dewpoint as a measurement of moisture in the air instead of other measurements like relative humidity. Pretty much condensation happens anytime something humid hits something cold. Let's say that our air temperature is 70 degrees and 55 degrees dew point. If we had a nice cold drink sitting on the table that is below the dew point of that air, so our cold drink is 35 degrees, we would have moisture that'd be running down and making a puddle underneath our glass. That's why we use coasters. Now, that happens sometimes in an unwanted sense in a home. Really, the only time that you want condensation forming inside the home is inside your air handler when the air conditioning is running. You want condensation forming on that coil and then draining out of the house. Any other place in the house where condensation is forming is a bad thing, because condensation that forms on the kind of surfaces and materials that we build houses out of here these days is going to cause biological growth, such as mold. Okay, let's take a winter example to show you how condensation forms on windows a lot of times during the winter. So if we've got a 30-degree day and we've got a window on this wall, now if that window is an older window, single pane, that little pane of glass really does a pretty good job of conducting that 30-degree temperature on into the house. And so that the surface of that window on the inside may be really close to the outdoor temperature. Let's say in this case that the surface of the window was 35 degrees. That 55-degree dew point air is actually too humid for the conditions that it's in, because that 55-degree dew point air is going to hit that 35-degree window pane surface. It's going to start forming condensation. That condensation is going to run down and do moisture damage. So what do we do about it? Well, whenever something humid hits something cold and we have condensation, we have two choices. We can either lower the dew point of the air, so we can try to make that air less humid, or we can raise the temperature of the cold surface that it's hitting. And that's really why in older houses you saw floor vents or ceiling vents that were along exterior walls, because they would really wash that wall with hot air and they would raise the surface of that window temperature to something above the dew point of the air. And it really wouldn't take much. Even if you raised the surface of that glass to 60 degrees now, even if the house was as humid as 55-degree dew point, which is kind of too humid to run a house in the winter, we would not have condensation forming, because the surface of the glass is now warmer than the dew point of the air. That's all for this time. We'll come back to dew point, more moisture diagnosis. Now, thanks for watching Psychrometric Saturday.